If you guys have seen House of the Dragon, then I'm probably not alone in thinking that it is really, really good. After the way Game of Thrones ended, the writers probably knew we were left in a delicate state, and they responded accordingly by giving us well-developed characters and storylines. However, while I do enjoy the new show, I can't help but miss the characters and corresponding actors that we got to know over 8 seasons with Game of Thrones. So, for my second ever sculpting project, I was inspired by the Khaleesi herself and tried to sculpt the likeness of Daenerys Targaryen. But before I get anyone's hopes up, I must admit that in my opinion, the final bust does not look like Emilia Clarke as Daenerys. I was definitely referencing pictures of her while working on this, so there are elements that hint at a resemblance to her, but that's about it. So, coming from a non-master sculptor, I gave it my best attempt and actually really enjoyed the sculpting process. Originally, I wanted to cut the top off of the final sculpture to use it as a plant pot, so I tried to use oven-baked clay, but this stuff was quite literally impossible to mold in any way, as it had the consistency of a semi-mushy brick. So now, this project has no functionality, and I'm using regular knead-a-kiln clay to sculpt the bust. Which I'm actually not too upset about, because this clay brings me back to my first experience with sculpting. Picture this. I went to a pretty normal public high school that had limited funding for anything related to the arts, but it just so happens that the county right next door to the one my school was in is one of the wealthiest counties in the state. So when my little outfit of AP art students was invited to an art off with the wealthy schools, we were excited and just quite frankly happy to be there. We went in with no expectations because we hadn't even worked with some of the mediums involved in the friendly competition, actual clay being one of them. I volunteered for that part of the contest, but all I knew is that we were going to have to sculpt a bust of some sort. The morning of the art-off, I watched a singular video on how to sculpt a bust, and we were off. The challenge was super straightforward in that me and my partner each had to create a bust, and the instructors made the process progressively harder as time went on by taking away our tools and stuff like that. In the last 10 minutes, they told us to combine our 2 busts into one, and this was our result. And y'all, we not only won the sculpting part of the competition, but my classmates won either first or second place in every other medium. And just like that, my high school was never invited to another art-off with that county. Admittedly, I went into this project with about the same level of preparation. But honestly, other than watching tutorials, just getting your hands dirty and practicing is the best way to learn in my opinion. My favorite thing about clay is that it is so forgiving. If you mess up or don't like the way something looks, all you have to do is smush it and try again. That being said, I ran into a few problems with knowing that something doesn't look right, but I didn't have the skills or knowledge on how to fix it. With that in mind, I present to you the first grand reveal. Truth be told, I think I like my high school sculpture better. Really, the only credit that I'll give to myself on this looking like Dany is the nose. Tell me that is not at least 90% her nose. Because this turned out pretty far below my expectations, I wanted to just squish the entire thing and reuse the clay for a later project. But I said first grand reveal. My husband actually really liked the sculpture, so he didn't want me to squish it. So instead, I wrapped it up and came back the next morning with the determination to try again. I was slightly more patient this time around and really tried to pay attention to her features and proportions. The only thing I did not change from the first try was her nose, because there's no way I was giving up on this nose. So after making a few adjustments to the eyes, I put it back on. I spent about 5 hours working on the second iteration of this bust, and the biggest changes, other than slight changes in feature proportions, are that I really committed to the idea that ears do not exist, and I simplified the hair. And so now, I present to you the final grand reveal. I still don't think anyone would look at this and automatically say Khaleesi, but I could definitely see her as a Dothraki extra. And even though I like the new version of this bust better, I unfortunately do not have access to a kiln, so I'll probably just end up squishing this and reusing the clay. But for only $20 in materials, it was great practice and a good bit of fun.